Welcome back into another NBA DFS prize picks video. Going to be touching on the top picks for today. All right, so just looking at the two games that we have on the slate today in NBA, we have Boston versus Philly, a 2-point spread, and then we have Denver versus Phoenix, a 2.5-point spread. We can see just based off of the scoring that the Denver versus Phoenix game is probably going to be the game that we want to attack the most just because there's more points. Thus, it should be easier to predict in terms of over fantasy points, over points, rebounds, and assists type of prop. But let's go ahead and start out with this Boston game because there is one injury situation that I think we really need to touch on, and that's going to be Marcus Smart. He's currently questionable. I do expect him to play. I think that's the expectation for today as well. But if he were to sit, that would only help Malcolm Brogdon's chances of getting over 20.5 points, rebounds, and assists. This number actually dropped from what it was in the previous game. It was at, I think, 22 by lineup lock. And so if we were to get news that Smart does sit, then Brogdon's going to get a few more minutes. Thus, it would be easier for him to get the over there. And if we take a look at the 9-to-5 props cheat sheet here, we can see that the average sportsbook line is valuing it at closer to 21.2 to that 21.5 that we saw the previous game. So just interesting there. And yes, it's basically valued as a push at that point, but very interesting to see that PrizePicks hasn't adjusted that just yet. Now, if Marcus Smart does play, that's actually one of the best props that we are getting on the cheat sheet here at minus 137. That'd be a good prop. And then the only other decent one that we have would be Embiid over points. We can see favored at minus 138, and that's to get 27.64 points. So we can see we are getting some good props out of that game. And so to me, if we were just trying to chase that game, we would go Brogdon, points, rebounds, and assists. And Embiid's just got pumped while I was doing this video, so disregard that. But you could still potentially do Marcus Smart over assists. But then we would have to find a Philly player to go with, and I don't really like any of the other Philly props that we have. So let's go ahead and switch up and get to that Denver versus Phoenix game. So obviously, once again, the biggest injury news that we have in this game is that CP3 is going to be out. And so last game, the expectation for me, at least, was that 2 out of the 3 of Cam Payne, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker would go on and really just dominate. And so we saw that end up being Booker and also Kevin Durant. But Cam Payne did play a lot of minutes, and he shot the ball enough. He just didn't shoot the ball well. 3 for 9 total, 1 for 5 from threes. Now, the one prop that was kind of standing out to me throughout the day was the assist prop with him as well. Like, that was the secondary prop that I thought we could use with him. And that was set at 5.5 assists. He was able to get 6. So I do expect him to have a better game, especially if he's going to be playing 30 minutes, especially in a game that is going to be close and high scoring. The issue with that is we are not currently getting any sort of campaign props right now. So I can't really give you guys, a take on that. I do expect him to have a better game than he had last game. Maybe we go with fantasy score if we get a fantasy score prop. And then looking at the other pieces of that game, I'm kind of fine just going back to the well with those players we're on. Now, I would rather just go with fantasy score, I think, for all of them. But looking at Devin Booker, he has been going off lately. And then you factor in that if you look at the per 36 production with CP3 off the court now, it suggests that he should be able to get the over. And so I like the fact that we have a good chance for him to get the over as well. High scoring game. The only issue is that, he was very hot shooting the basketball last game. Probably not going to be that hot, probably going to be tighter in today's game. And then looking at Kevin Durant as well, I would rather go fantasy score props. Okay. If we get that, sure, it's probably going to be appealing. I think for both Booker and KD, they're both set at 50.5 last game, maybe 51 for KD. I kind of like that a little bit better. And if I had to choose between one of the two, I think I would go with Kevin Durant just because he struggled very early shooting the basketball. And yes, he did get bailed out a little bit by having 16 free throw attempts and making 14 of them. I don't like betting on the whistle, if that makes sense. But I do expect him to have a better night shooting tonight than he has had thus far this series, because really, besides, I guess, this game, the first game, but from three ball hasn't really exactly shot the ball well. I expect that to change tonight. And then lastly, I still really like Jamal Murray tonight. And part of the reason why I like all these props that we are chasing tonight is going to be because the minutes have very much been locked in for Booker, for KD, and for Murray. We look at Booker's minutes, 40 minutes. That's a lot, right? We look at KD also averaging 40 minutes. Then we flip it around and go to Jamal Murray, exact same thing. So as long as Vegas is correct, and last night's game with New York and Miami, Vegas was not correct. So the props that we were on for that game were terrible. Also, Gabe Vincent was terrible last night. Obviously, that's going to happen, but the chances are Vegas is going to be right here. And if they're right, then I like all those props again. So because it is a lighter slate in the NBA today, I did just want to touch on a couple of other props that were kind of standing out to me as well across sports. So I wanted to call it this, looking at the difference between PrizePicks and Underdog today. Wyndham Clark is currently in the lead. Wyndham Clark is someone that chokes a lot, okay? Or else he would probably have a victory thus far this season. Now, I'm hoping that he plays better than this, but the fact that we are getting a 1.5 stroke difference between Underdog and PrizePicks, that just doesn't really occur. It actually occurred earlier this week with Ricky Fowler, ended up being pretty ideal finish because Ricky finished as a push on PrizePicks for his strokes, and then the over hit on Underdog. I don't mind betting the over on Underdog and the under on PrizePicks for Wyndham Clark. That is just one that stood out to me. And then we can see we are getting that exact same thing with 4 other players as well. So there is a chance to kind of stack there. And the nice thing about golf, and it's kind of like NBA in a sense where in NBA you are chasing kind of the game prediction, like how Vegas views the game. With this, I'm chasing how the course is going to play as well. That's part of it as well. So there's a chance where you could bet the overs on Underdog and the unders on PrizePicks for all of those and have yourself a pretty good day. And then for what it's worth, I guess Aaron Gordon over 3 is about a 54% chance to hit. We actually have a couple of those that are pretty good ones. We do see a couple of good MLB props as well. I don't mind targeting hitter strikeouts. My favorite one's pitcher strikeouts, but that's one that's available. We are seeing one under that's pretty good as well. Maxi under 3.5 rebounds. If you guys want to chase that, you could. And then for what it's worth, points and assists and points and rebounds for Kevin Durant are better props to make if you're betting the overs on PrizePicks. If you guys think he's going to struggle today, bet the under on Underdog where, we're getting a 1 point difference. That can add up to being a huge day. So I am going to wait kind of for the bet of the day. Maybe I'll tweak this out or something. But what I'm looking at is probably fantasy score tonight, and that's kind of why I'm not doing it. But I do really like we could go points, rebounds, and assists for Murray, for Booker, for Durant again as well, and then possibly Malcolm Brogdon as well. Then pairing it up with that Wyndham Clark prop. All right, that's going to be all for today's video. If you guys enjoyed the coverage, make sure to give a like and subscribe. Let's have a good slate, and as always, let's keep cashing.